Hi, I'm Charlotte Merrill, and this is our So Let's Be Friends podcast. This is a place where everyone belongs, and every story matters. Together, we celebrate our differences, bring awareness to disabilities, and build a more inclusive and supportive world. One conversation at a time, let's open our hearts and listen with kindness.
I like when people ask me about my crutches because they can get to know me, and I like having friends, so let's be friends.
Hi friends, welcome back to So Let's Be Friends, where we show up for each other, listen to real stories, and help families find answers and hope. Today I'm talking with Kasey about her and her daughter. They're sharing their experience living with a rare disease and what it looks like to be both a parent and a caregiver, navigating the medical world. We'll talk about their story, what they have learned along the way, and why voices of caregivers matter so much, not just in family, but in research and understanding rare disease. Thank you for being here and sharing your story with us. I'm Charlotte, and we're excited to listen. You talked about how caregivers learn so much through lived experience. Why do you think these insights often don't make their way into research or structured medical data?
Very good.
Question.
It's a tough question kind of for me too, because it's very involved. So our lives consist of a lot, a lot extra, but also what we don't know is extra because, as I mentioned before, everyone has their own life. When you live it and you're in it, sometimes you have a hard time seeing it. So that's one of the things. The other is, a lot of the times the clinicians that are studying they are in a specialty that they have a niche and they know what to ask about that niche, but they don't necessarily have the training or the wherewithal to ask about the other things that might be going on.
Or things that don't even know are presenting that we don't, right? There's the unknown that nobody's ever addressed before either.
Yep, exactly. So you don't know to bring it up and they don't know to ask. And I learned on this as, being involved with the parent-driven research, and I was kind of in between the social media group and the researcher, and they can't, because of IRBs, which is protection for human research, they can't ask certain questions because you have to know in advance what you can ask.
Right.
And I'd be seeing the social media say, hey, my kid did this today. Did your kid do this? And I'm like, and then I'd try to bring it over, but then it's hard to tell what is noise. And they don't have much time. They don't have much bandwidth. And any funding they have is usually specified for exactly what they were funded for. So it's really, an inability to be able to sort through what is noise and what is the true meaning, and then get it in front of the right people.
I almost feel like when I do go to the doctor that I give too much on the list of concerns, because there's been in the past where they're like, why didn't you tell us about this? And I'm like, well, I didn't know it was a thing. And so I've left things on the table that should have been addressed that I just didn't know. So now I come in with a list to talk about that's almost nonsense, I feel like, but I'm like, I don't want to miss anything. So I'm like, I just scratch it off quick if they say we're good. But anyway.
Well, and it's hard to know. And the same thing, like on my own, because I listened to sort of various doctors and symptoms and stuff, I ended up finding out that my daughter had enlarged adenoids and she needed surgery, and then found out she has celiac, another way. But like, then I was like, oh my God, everything's something. Like my son has a peanut allergy. I think, and I was like, it's everywhere. But like, it's almost like I'm like, am I looking too hard for things? I gotta stop.
Yes, no, for real.
But
You start to feel like that. They're
yeah,
looking too hard for things, but you don't want to
yeah,
miss something that's going to help them progress. So there's,
yeah,
I don't know, it's a fine line. I think we just have to be open-minded and realistic, and I don't think it's
yeah.
terrible to look for things because we,
No,
right?
no, yeah.
Because that peanut
So
allergy saves his life.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's important.
He's used the EpiPen 3 times already. Yeah,
So
yeah,
we don't want to miss things, and that's kind of scary.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
So.
thank you for sharing that. Anything else you want to share on that before we move on to the next question, or?
No, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot. Well, I mean, that's it. I'm building a
I know
startup, and that's
research is your
exactly,
passion.
yeah, that's exactly why I'm building the startup I'm building and how I'm doing it. It's going to bridge the gap between the social media and I say it, turning anecdotes into evidence. It's really going to try to help filter sort of what's popping up and get it on the registries so that we can, little by little, voice by voice, input by input, kind of really bolster the knowledge of patients and caregivers, hopefully, and
Yeah, that's huge.
physicians and researchers.
Thank you.
How does that gap affect families who are researching for answers or trust in the system?
I think it's kind of a gradual process where at first you believe everything that you hear, and you want to, and I'm not trying to discredit anything, but people are only working with what they have, the knowledge that they have, which is limited because of the silos and the fractured way things are right now in healthcare. But now as we get onto social media and patients start to can talk from across the world and across different places, they start to share their experiences and what doctors recommended there and the outcome, and you start to realize, oh, there's so many more things that could be tried or are being done. And it's not to say it's blaming the clinician that you're seeing, it's
Yeah, there's
blaming the
special niche that we get
ability.
at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they might not have even known this is going on over here because it's not all connected. So I think really, yeah, the disparate sources of information is the part that really hurts, and in the trust, and again, it's like almost like I forget, rock and hard place really, because
Or pigeonhole
trust.
like stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and doctors only have this amount of time, and they're trying
Yeah.
the best they can in a broken system.
And they
We're
want
trying
to
to
do more, but they've told me lots of times they have this small space, and that's where they hire me to come in and teach the nutrition, the movement, the connection, and resilience. And that's what our whole mission is, because you have to have all those connections, those puzzle pieces
yes,
to be a
yes,
whole person with a disability or not,
yep.
right?
I think I read that what do you call it, lifestyle prescription. I was like, I
Yeah, lifestyle
love that.
prescription.
I
Yeah.
love that phrase.
So that's why
But it's true.
doctors call me in to do the lifestyle prescriptions for their patients. And that's what we get to do a lot in Special Olympics Unified as well, is they come in not knowing they could swim. They'll be 20, 30 years old. I've been told their whole life they can't swim because of their disability. And so our goal is to teach them that they can, even if it's with a life jacket,
Yeah.
right? And then they start to see the movement. So there's those spots that get dropped, and it's not because doctors are bad or anything like that. It's because they're certified and taught in that specific area, like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like when our kids were born right after the other, their cerebellum is shriveled up. Their brains deformed. They're not supposed to be moving and doing these things. And so the safety of what the doctors wanted to do, because their job's to keep you alive, was
Mhm.
to put my kids in wheelchairs, strap their head, and put G tubes in them. And that's where we
Yeah.
started. And that's what was supposed to
Yeah.
happen. But then we didn't have social media 22 years ago like we do now.
No.
But I had a physical therapist who worked with me and reached out to me and showed me there's other ways to maneuver this, that we can keep their gut health and their muscles moving if we don't G-tube. And it's harder. We have to learn the Heimlich really well.
Yeah.
She's had the
I
Heimlich.
we We've done, Robbie has choked several, I did that silent when we with her so many times. It's,
Over 200 times she's had the Heimlich on her. And she's
there's a
gotten way better.
de-choker I've never had to use. There's something called the de-choker. I
You
don't
know, it
know if,
wasn't around back in the day.
yeah.
I've seen it
Well, I was
now.
gonna say for now, I
Oh, I
have like,
know. Now
I
it's
have the adult
there.
size and the kid size just in case. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah. So, yeah, back in the day, there wasn't that. So I just got good at the Heimlich. But then you create other health problems by doing that. Like she became afraid of eating. And I didn't realize they created that disorder. So then we had to go through that. But she was afraid she would either break a rib or possibly die every time she ate. And so we've had to learn. We have the yogurt drawer where there's yogurts and things, right?
I also have some on myself too.
Yeah, she keeps yogurts with her because that's something she can eat and knows she can safely eat without choking if she's by herself and there's not someone around to calm.
I learned
yeah,
I can't eat ice cream with M&Ms
Or chunks.
because
right side. You gotta look for.
the ice cream gets so cold for me. I'm like sensitive with cold and hot.
Yeah.
And then having a surprise chunk in the ice cream will make her choke.
Oh,
She can't have
oh, I
chunks
thought you
in
were
her ice
saying you
cream.
get to do that. I was
No,
like,
she can't have
oh,
chunks in
no.
ice cream. She finds
Oh, I'm
ice cream that's
sorry.
nothing in it. So that's what's nice
Oh,
as they get older. Your
Or
daughter's
with
12.
a really soft thing like cookie
You
dough.
can do the cookie dough, right? So what's wonderful about this is she's getting older. She's learned to advocate for herself, knowing like she will not touch a hard candy because she has
yeah,
to move it around in her mouth so many places before it can get to the swallowing point, and she can't get it in the right spot to even chew it or break it up, and it lodges.
Like Jolly Ranchers.
Yep. So you kind of learn as you get older, and your daughter will too, and that's what's nice. So we didn't get pigeonholed in that spot of just doing the G tube and strapping her head. We've allowed her to use her muscles, even though it's harder, right,
yeah,
to do these things. But she's now having more successful life because of it. It's scary. I mean,
yeah.
there's the choking hazards and the falls and the different things you're
Yeah,
up against.
I haven't choked for like 2 years.
Has it been 2 years now? It used to be
I
like a couple times a
think
meal.
2 or more or less.
I remember when it stretched out to 6 months that she hadn't choked, we were so excited. So, but as she got bigger, like you said, it's harder, and it was harder to do the Heimlich the bigger she got.
Yeah.
So I've actually had to call the fire department to come help me do it now, knowing that they're not going to take her to the hospital because there's that fear too that they'll sweep her off to the hospital. I'm like, I just need help with the Heimlich. That's it.
Yeah, yeah,
So you learn those little skills, kind of. That's where the system, you got to search for answers and trust in the system, but also find your own answers and kind of create your own path because
yeah,
it's different.
yeah, yeah. Even within disorder, within the same disorder, it's different.
In the same disorder, it's different. Yeah. Just
Yeah,
like all
yeah.
of
I
us.
mean, it's the same yeah, it's within every personal family and choices. It's, we're making what we can do to get the best out of everything.
Hmm. So I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
What do you think researchers, doctors, or medical systems could do differently to better listen to caregivers?
Yeah. I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, where I really do believe like people get into this field because they want to help and they want to make a difference. And so I think they know, or they, they have their pigeonholed, or what do they say in their time management. So I'd say ideally, without any change at all, just listening to the patient. If they felt it was important to bring up, there's a reason they are saying it. The patient voice, like, it might not have meaning right then and there for the person, the physician, the clinician, but at least like take note, okay, this is, especially with the rare diseases or something, like this is thing. And I know so many patients, so many, like it's hard to, but at least, value their concerns, address the concerns. And then for the systems, really, it's being more open. I know IRBs again and insurance and all things that are put up for protections are actually the things that are now that other stuff has evolved are the things that are making it harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like if the ability to there is there to collaborate or work across institutions or work across different same passioned area or same focused areas, like do it. Like that's, you know, just like the it takes a village and it really it and that's not just with people, it's through systems as well.
I think if doctors can be aware of programs around them, making sure we have those connections with programs like early intervention for you was huge. That was really
Yeah.
helpful, got you in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
So for the first 4 or 5 years, no one told me about early intervention. And I went to the doctor, so I think having, and like you said, doctors, we agree, doctors are doing their best. They're so busy, but if there could be, and I think they're getting so much better at this now, actually, having the programs available, brochures
Yeah.
available to give to parents if they don't have the answers right there. Like they have the answers to get them what they need in that moment, but to expound more on it and to find those little gaps that they're not able to serve, having those available to them, or just having another mother for them to call that
Yeah.
has maneuvered through that before,
Yeah.
or a caregiver so they can help get them in a direction, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's key.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'd say if one thing is like to know the one, if you don't have the resources, know the person to send
that
them
can
to
get you the
with the
resource, right?
resources.
And I think that's what you're really putting together and promoting with your nonprofit is creating that. It's almost like a DNA check with a
Huh?
family check on social media, right? When they go on there and they put in what they're looking for to the support systems, and those social media systems are coming up now because there's, right? That's kind of what you're creating. Do you
Yeah,
feel the
so
same?
with the AI and machine learning, so it's a very human focused first thing. So,
Mhm.
because you hear AI and machine learning get a little scared, but we're really using it as a supplement to be able to, even once it expands more cross diseases and pick up like differential diagnoses or undiagnosed disorders, it'll start to see symptoms that are
Similar and
it
put
might
together.
be able to group into and say, hey, all right, you haven't had a diagnosis, but you might want to talk to a doctor that specializes in XYZ, because these symptoms are similar to that. And it'll be able to, it's going to mine for best practices and mental health and wellness. What do you do to get through your day? Sort of thing. So it's putting the right questions out there and listening, really listening to the
Mhm.
answers and then giving it back to the community
Yeah.
in a
Not being
searchable,
afraid.
easy way.
Yeah. Not being afraid to give them the resources and not having all the answers, but where to find them.
Yeah. Which is the patients and caregivers
Yes.
and the ones that live it
Yes.
every day.
And I've had doctors just, um, I wasn't anyone special except for a mom with 3 kids with special needs. And
Very
so
special.
a doctor has given my name to patients just because they didn't know where to send them next. They gave them what they needed, and then
Yeah.
they would say, "Can I give them your number?" And I just remember one doctor, I'm like, "Well, I don't have a degree or anything special." And he goes, "You have the life skills, the experiences with 3 kids." And so that's kind of where you are at, and that's what you're creating. And I love that you're connecting all of us together on social media to give
I
that
hope
support and
to.
resource. I think that's incredible. Thank you.
Well, I had the same experience though. Like we had a little bit of media, and then there was also a principal, a clinician was getting more attention on the disorder. So we started having parents come to us both with the disorder and then with rare diseases, saying, "I don't know who to turn to. What did you do?" And I was like, "It's a template, like it's." I mean, it's not fully a template. Everyone has a difference in their experiences, but there's so much that's just easily replicable and like to share, and that's
Mhm.
early beginning days of like started forming.
Yeah, no, that's good.
What advice would you give to parents who are at the very beginning of a rare disease journey?
Um, well, I think one of the things is talk to anyone and everyone you think that either has had a similar experience or is willing to help. If people are willing to help, it was very hard for me. I don't like taking help. I like giving
Right.
help.
Exactly. Same way.
So yeah, it's very hard to, how can I help and be like, oh no, that's okay. Take the help. Take anyone that wants to help. If,
Yep.
put them to work in a special, in whatever way that feels right, because it's an everyday journey, and you know what, someday you can turn around and help them. Like that's what I'm hoping. I'm going to help people, but find your village and use them.
And that's what the
And
podcast is hoping to do is using what we've gone through in our heart. And we're still in the middle of it. My one is 13 or 14 now, right? So we're still in the middle of it, but now we're trying to use it and be more on the positive side and be able to help others and not just be stuck in our hard. So it's kind of what you just said.
that's 100%. That's when I said I was going to start a podcast back, and I was doing putting videos on social media because I saw so many people coming to me with the early diagnosis and so devastated. And it was really that I wanted them to know that I've been there, and it was one of the hardest, the hardest parts of my life, but I'm happy. Like,
Yeah.
this is like you will have joy again, and not in spite of it, but with it and because of it. And it's really hard to understand until it's like one of those if you know, you know
Yes.
sort of
There was
situations.
that time when I was depressed and broken in the early mid 2000s, way in the beginning of the stages of just trying to understand one after another born with a disease and
Yeah.
kind of trying, and I was angry. I was mad.
Yeah. Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
And trying to understand
Yeah.
why, you know? And so there is that stage that you have to mourn and be okay and get through. And it doesn't mean it doesn't happen and feel again hard again, because now
Yeah.
we're going from kid to adult and I'm trying to maneuver going into the adult stage, but being a caregiver, but given the independency and finding that back and forth. When do I back up? When do I,
Yeah. Yeah.
and she kind of still letting me know, she's like, Mom, stop. She's getting good at letting me know, and that's a good thing when she doesn't. Not be
Yeah, no,
there.
I know. It's a beautiful, bittersweet thing of parents and moms when their kids are like going off and not, yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
that's so good. Thank you.
What helped you the most during the hardest moments?
Robbie, my kids.
I love
Because she was happy, and one of the parents since then has said something that stuck in my head. They said, the hardest part of the disorder is for the parents, and the burden and the weight of the concern and the weight of the physical stuff. They said Robbie and the other kids, mostly, a lot of them, don't see it as a disability. She just loves life. So I would just say, okay, today's a bad day, but look at Robbie, look at how happy and how great Davis is. Focus on them.
hmm
Focus on that minute, and then glimmers, little things, the little things. Like, oh, this is a really comfortable pillow, I'm really glad I can rest right now. Like, I might not have had this opportunity, like,
Right.
just, yeah,
No,
gratitude and
no, that's really
perspective.
good advice. Just even focus on the happy little things in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If another caregiver is listening right now and feeling overwhelmed, what would you want to tell them?
Most of the stuff, unless the health, it comes down to health, safety, wellness, happiness.
hmm
Everything else can fall apart. Like, literally. And I had health issues at one point, and I thought the world was going to stop. I had chronic fatigue and I couldn't answer mails, and I was like, oh my God, how is this gonna, and nothing fell apart.
hmm
And then I was able to build back, by prioritizing what I knew was what was needed for the moment. And so my mantra that got me through so many things is do what you can do in a day. And if that's just sitting on a couch watching a movie and that makes you feel good, like, lean into it. The biggest thing I've realized is no one understands what we're going through.
Right.
And so they're never going to be able to understand, like, that you can do what makes you feel good. If you show up late, if you don't show up,
Mhm.
you're doing what works for you, and you don't have to explain it to anyone else, within a degree, obviously, but that's it.
Yeah, one of my things as a mom, two of the things I try to tell myself often is, well, find joy in the moment. I used to say find joy, right? But then I even broke it down to the moment because sometimes finding joy got too big. But finding that
Yeah,
moment, like you said, just a pillow
yeah,
or singing a song with my kid, or just those little moments in the car going to school and getting to, have them reach out for my hand. Just those little
yeah,
moments
yeah,
instead of
yeah,
focusing so big on just trying to create and find joy, but finding
yeah,
in the moment. And then just, I always remind myself to help me muddle through whatever decision I'm trying to make is I only get to be a mom once and I want to do it right the first time. So what is that better option to be that? But then you got to take care of yourself. So you got to keep that in mind. So.
What gives you hope right now for the future of rare disease research and support?
It's exploding right now. I've gone to the conferences, and to go from the World Orphan Drug Congress was the one in particular that stood out. From 2 years ago to this year, you're starting to hear, oh, there's this disorder that has this therapeutic. Not just stopping degeneration in some places, that there's restorative, and like in the way that AI and machine is being applied to therapeutics and to diagnostics. It's just, and the connecting of the conversations, and I think it's a big want for a lot of people, and you can't get anywhere without the want to join in. So I think it is really it's already happening. For us, it's not fast enough, but I think it's I think things are happening, and I think it's cause for hope. Yeah.
Hope. I like that.
Yeah.
A cause for hope.
What has your daughter taught you about strength and resilience?
Resilience, that's a tough word.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is a tough word. She's taught me that you can, despite the challenges put in front of you, or the what is the norm for everyone else, it's about perspective. It's about how you see yourself. And she sees herself as a bossy, bold, sassy, funny girl, and she just plows life through that without even a look at, her, or it seems like even a second thought about her disabilities. And she just wakes up with a smile, and gives other people smiles. So she reminds me that in the toughest times, it's about how you look at things, I guess.
Yes, perspective, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience with us today. Stories like yours help each other, families feel less alone, and remind us how important it is to listen to caregivers and lived experience. If you'd like to learn more about our mission or connect with our community, you can visit www.mirrorbuds.org. Thank you for listening, for caring, and for supporting families of all abilities. And as always, so let's be friends.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This life is beautiful, and you are wonderful.
If you're listening, thank you for being a part of this. We are excited to share more stories and more truth and more love in every episode. Until next time, love one another, and like I say, so let's be friends.